Welcome to TCG Card Shop Simulator. In today's beginner's guide, I'm going to be talking about everything that you need to get started in the game. Now, I'm going to be using significant portions from the game's tutorial, as I do think that's a good jumping off point, but it's pretty short, so I'm definitely going to go further in this video. If you want to see more of my thoughts on the game as a whole, then do be sure to check out my early access review instead. This also brings up a very important point: that the game is currently in early access, things are subject to change, and if they change by enough, I'm probably going to make a new video. So if you end up liking this one, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like while you're down there. That way you can find your way back more easily when I do make the update. With all that said, let's get into things, starting with where you start at the very beginning. So you're introduced to the game's basic controls. Now I know it says WASD, but turns out the arrow keys work as well, which is a really nice little touch. Then you get this little introduction, and you have to name your card shop, which I'm just going to call my card shop here. And confirm the name. This is also going to be the name of your save file, and they do have to be unique. Next, you need to open up your phone and stock up on card packs. So, let's buy 3 packs, or more accurately, 3 boxes of packs. Every time you buy something, there's going to be a delivery fee. It starts at $5, and then it increases slightly as you add more items. But in general, it is more efficient to buy a whole bunch of things at once than it is to buy them one at a time. For example, here, it'd be $40 for 20 items. But if I buy one, it's $5. Whoops, that's actually 0. Yeah, this is $5, which, as you will note, 40 is 8 times 5. So we're just going to do this. Our boxes have arrived. Now you need to open it up and put it on the shelf. It says to set the item price higher than the market price to be profitable. You don't really have to min-max profits too much, especially at an early stage. But in general, the rule of thumb that I'd recommend for most things is market price plus 10% and round. For really low price items, such as these booster packs, you have to be a little careful with that. So right now, $2.72. If we round it, it goes up to 3. Which, just for comparison, is about equal to 20%. That might be a little bit high. So instead, I'm going to manually set it to $2.75. Long term, though, it is generally better to use rounder numbers. That way you don't spend nearly as much time fiddling for change. And now, we're just going to put these here and change the sign to open. This way, some of the customers will start coming in. And here, you want to man the cashier. And wait, of course, for a customer to pick up one of the items. As you can see, fair price, $2.75. Maybe could have gone to $3 after all. But you know what? The more of these packs a customer buys, the more EXP you get. So, $9.75. And this is why having things even is better. Because if this was just an even $10, it would have been 1 click. There we go, 55 EXP and a decent bit of profit already. We have some more customers coming in. Let's just advance time a little bit using some YouTube editing magic. All right, we've now done 5 total sales. It's time to do exactly what the task asks and open some of the supply. When you're a card dealer, always sample your supply. So as you're opening the pack, every time you get a new card, it stops for a second to tell you it's new. You can change its behavior a little bit in the settings menu. And when you get a particularly high value card, it will also stop on those. Don't worry, you're going to be opening a lot of packs, and yes, you can sell the single cards to customers. Things like first edition means the card's worth more, full art more, and foil, of course, that's worth more as well. But this is a card shop, and people don't just buy cards here, they can also play cards. So now it's time to talk a little bit about the phone menu. First up, you have stock order. This is where you go to buy different things like these card packs and also purchase licenses. You need to purchase a license before you can stock a product. So for example, this cleanser here, something that you can use to keep your customers smelling absolutely fabulous, the license costs $150. And if I purchase this, now for $65.52, I can get a cleanser and start putting it on my shelves. In general, as you progress and level up, you'll unlock more and more licenses, allowing you to stock a wider variety of things. This is divided into booster packs, which also includes fully built decks, accessories, things like cleanser, card sleeves, dice, all the fun knickknacks you'd expect, playmats as well, and figurines, because who doesn't want to spend exorbitant amounts of money on what's probably about 5 cents in plastic? At the start, most of your sales are going to be in booster packs, and in general, a lot of your profits are going to come from things that sell in bulk. If you can get a customer to buy 10 of something, even if you're making less profit per unit, it's going to be more profit overall than getting them to buy one for a lot of money. But in general, you should try to have a little bit of everything, or at the very least, a little bit of everything from each category, because some items do end up being more and less profitable. Next up, we have my DIY racks. You can buy things like a cabinet, a metal rack, or in this case, a play table. So we'll just grab one of those. Also, remember how I said you can sell single cards? For that, you're going to need the card table, which unlocks at level 3. As you level up, you get access to more things. Warehouses allow you to organize your stock. This allows you to bulk up cards. And of course, there's even fun stuff like the auto-sent T1000 that terminates the bad odor of any customer within a massive radius. Third up, we have RenoBig. This allows you to expand the shop, making it bigger, which gives you more space, but this does also raise your rent. So, when your income's stable, when you're getting a lot of profit, and when you are ready to expand, you should absolutely do it because it means more customers come in. But if you are barely breaking even at the end of the day, you should focus on other things and not expand into more space, especially because at that point you might not be able to afford the stock that you need to actually fill those shelves. Then we've got the settings menu here. You can control a whole bunch of stuff. Manage event. Events require a card table. So let's go ahead and put one down. We should probably also tend to the customers. In general, you don't want to really spend a ton of time looking through menus in the middle of the day, because that clock on the left is definitely going to be ticking. But hey, it's fine. There's only 3 people, and they didn't have anything better to do anyway. That said, now that we have the card table, they do have something better to do. They can sit here, and if there's 2 people sitting down at the table, they start playing cards. This is where managing events comes in. By default, you have the standard format, which gets you $7 per person per hour, turning these tables into passive income. But as more customers play, you unlock additional formats. The additional formats may have a higher fee, they might cost a certain amount daily, and they'll change the possible next day effect. Right now, it's just random packs and cards go up or down. Which leads very nicely into TCG price, where you can see the basic card pack, it went up a little bit recently, but for rare card pack, that went down. You know what they say? Buy low, sell high. Then we have Go Recruit, where you can recruit an employee to work in your shop. They have 2 roles, cashier or restock. Now this could just be my experience, but I found that the lower level cashier was not fast enough to deal with all the customers that you get. Though the low level stocker can definitely help keep those shelves in tip-top shape so the customers buy more things. I found that once you get Dennis Brandon, he's pretty fast, you can use him for restock, and Clark Cash is wonderful. Now let's talk about a fun little feature. That feature is the lights, because you can turn the lights on, or the lights off, or the lights on. And if you do, it's going to start costing you electricity. The bill payment gets accrued every day, but you only need to pay your bills once every 7 days. So right now I have $672. Tomorrow I'll have some bills to pay. Doesn't mean I have to rush out and pay them. I could wait like a week, using my money now to invest in things that will make me more profit in the meantime. Just do have that money by the time those bills end up becoming due. We have our first stinky customer. You'll definitely smell these guys before you see them. What you have to do here is give them a good old spray with a cleanser. Because the problem with having a stinky customer in the shop is he annoys everyone else, and they might leave. Now, this isn't too big of a deal, especially early on if all they do, like that guy did, is walk in, buy something and leave. But if they sit down at one of those tables, oh man, you have a big stinking problem on your hand and you're going to have to deal with it as soon as possible. Then when the clock strikes 9 p.m., it means your day's over. Sometimes you will have a couple people lingering at the table, but for the most part, people let themselves out of a shop pretty darn quickly, and you can hit enter to start a new day, which also forcefully ejects people. When you do, you get this nice little summary. So, 21 people visited, 19 checked out, 2 weren't happy enough. This could mean the shop wasn't stocking an item they wanted, or it could mean that they walked in when the stinker was in here, and they left because they could smell him, and that's a problem. Now, we started a new day, and it's 8 a.m. A couple important things happened. First up, the lights were automatically turned off. This is important because as you use more electricity, your electric bill goes up. Also, as you can see, it's now $50 due. I could pay it right now, or I could wait and pay it in the future. And something else important to note is if you have any basic maintenance to do, like maybe I want to open some packs for fun, I want to do it right now because it's 8 a.m. and the clock is stopped. No customers will come in, no time will pass. Time starts passing as soon as you flip the sign to open and customers start entering the shop. Alright, it's day 3. The shop's looking a little bit more like a shop. And there's a new task, buy a card table. So again, go to My DIY, buy that sucker immediately. You're going to want this if you're opening packs. And trust me, you're going to want to open packs because it's fun. And also, sometimes, very, very profitable. But mostly because it's fun. Selling cards is profitable, but a bit time intensive, at least till the late game. And you can navigate through your entire card collection to go page by page by page. Now, as a quick tip, if you want to find out what cards you have that are the most valuable, simply press F and then sort by price for the given expansion. You can use A and D to flip between pages, and if you get a ghost card, do be sure to select the ghost set as it's different from the normal cards in your collection. Now, if you just want to get rid of a single cards quickly, you can absolutely do the market price 10% round, but single cards are the place where you can very easily push the limit. I've had a lot of success selling single cards for 20 and even 30% above the market, occasionally 40, though at 40%, that's the point where sometimes you start to make customers a little bit angry. Of course, if you really want to be doing this optimally, you're going to need to open a lot of packs. The best time to do this is either after 9 p.m. or before 8 a.m., so you don't have to worry about customers coming in or, things piling up. But later on, especially once you have an employee to man the register and an employee to stock the shelves, you can definitely spend a lot more time opening those sweet, sweet packs. And this is why you open card packs, because this card is worth $34.54, or at least that's the base price, because again, you can mark cards up. In general, people are not going to buy as many of the single cards as they will for something like a booster pack. So booster packs, card sleeves, those sell well in bulk, which means it generally pays to have the prices a little on the lower end. The card sleeves, especially, sell really well and have a huge profit margin. So I strongly advise stocking these whenever you can. Singles, on the other hand, you definitely want them. Some of them get very, very expensive, but they're not going to sell like hotcakes. As you're stocking stuff, you get extra boxes, and there's a couple fun things you can do with these. Number one, you can just leave them around the shop so that your customers can trip. But if you want to do something productive, you can either save it to potentially take something off the shelf later, or if you don't need it at all, just toss it in the trash to get rid of it for good. Alright, so it's been a few days, and now I'm going to go over some of the basics of setting up your shop, because eventually, the starting rack just isn't going to cut it. So I'm going to go here and buy a small metal rack. The reason I like this early on is it's relatively cost efficient, and it has 5 total baskets where you can put stuff. There's also some space up here that I haven't been using, but don't worry, we're going to fill all of that and make everything look nice and pretty. The other thing that I've gone ahead and done is bought a couple extra licenses. So now I can buy some basic card boxes. Definitely want more Tetramon booster packs, and some rare Tetramon booster packs. Alrighty, so after the purchases, we've got this nice little display going. Remember, as the days shift, prices do also change just a little bit. So you want to make sure you're relatively aligned with the market. So time to open a shop and see how things go. One thing to keep in mind, you tend to get a little bit of a morning rush. So a bunch of customers are going to come in early, and if you serve them quickly and efficiently, some of them might sit down and fill up your nice, wonderful card tables. Then, as the day goes on, things might calm down a little bit, use that time to restock some shelves, or of course, dealing with the evening rush where more customers come in. So, as you can see, people have been coming in, people are buying stuff. The more products you have, the wider the variety, the more likely someone's going to find something that piques their interest, and we've even got people playing at the tables. So you want to expand your shop by filling all of the available shelf space, keeping up with singles if you have the time, and providing lots of tables where people can play, because people playing at your tables gives you passive income every day. There's kind of a limit to this. You can't just build nothing but tables and expect them all to fill up. It's sort of limited by the number of customers in your shop. But the more people playing at tables, the more people who are participating in tournaments, which then lets you get better tournaments, charge more per hour, and make more money. Similarly, having shops that have stocked shelves means you can sell more things to more customers. And every time your income's stable, you see your money going up in the green rather than down in the red. That means you should be expanding. Either literally expanding the shop, buying a new shelf and filling it with products after you purchase the licenses, or hiring an employee. Because once you hire an employee, that's a big step that really changes up your gameplay. As you can see here, right now, I'm just manning the register and placing out some singles. I don't have to worry about the shelves in the back because I've got an employee. He's not the fastest, but he's good enough at stocking shelves. And so as long as I provide him with the raw stock and no one, decides to buy all the boxes at once, most of my job is manning the register. And this is why I prefer an employee who stocks the shelves as opposed to one who works on the registers, at least early on, because you want registers to go as quickly as possible, whereas if the shelves are a little behind, as long as they don't run out of items, it's not really a problem. Now early on, I wouldn't recommend buying duplicate licenses. Those are things for like 64 instead of 32 packs in a box. But what I would recommend is buying just a little bit of everything. Buy at least one dice, buy at least one card sleeve, buy at least one deck. Make sure you have at least one plushie. Those sell pretty well from my experience. And you might even want to start investing in some playmats. When a customer comes into your store, they're looking for something. So if you can provide the thing they're looking for, then they're going to spend some money. If you notice that a product has a particularly high margin, maybe stock some extra, put out another shelf, or drop the price just a bit to encourage people to buy more of it. When it comes to general sales, it's all about quantity over quality. When it comes to singles, I'd say it's more about quality over quantity, because you can't exactly guarantee that you're going to pull a $500 or $1,000 card. Next up, I want to talk about a few tips and tricks. These aren't things that'll be immediately helpful as you start your journey, but as you keep playing, you're going to run into all of these situations eventually, and some of them sooner rather than later. First, avoid buying too many licenses too soon. There's a lot of things where you can buy both the normal and the larger box version of something. Notice the larger box for the legendary card box is $3,500. But also, notice how the price isn't really any different. I'm hoping this changes in the future, but as of right now, while this is certainly less clicks and a little bit less on shipping fees, with the way storage works, this is a small box. You can get 4 of them in there. Like so. This is a big box. You can get 2 of them in there. One big box holds 8 booster boxes. A small box holds 4, meaning this is neither more space efficient nor more cost efficient. Again, it's just less clicks and a little bit less in terms of shipping fees. Next thing, remember how I said keeping empty boxes can be really handy? Well, a problem that quite a few people have run into is they buy this workbench, which lets you bulk bundle low value cards, and you put them in a box like this. What happens if you put them in a box like this, and now you go to your shelf, and oh, it's full. You can't put it on. And you go to your next shelf, it's also full. And you go to all your shelves, and they all happen to be full. How do you get rid of this? Are you soft locked? Well, for one, you could just throw it out. You can always trash it and get rid of it. But if you saved any of those boxes, now I've got it in a box and I don't have to worry. So keep a few boxes around. They are very handy, especially if you want to do stuff like, oh hey, these don't belong on this shelf anymore. I'm going to take them off. They go on, I don't know, any other shelf. And you just move them over. If you don't have a box, it's going to be much, much more difficult. Now, the next thing you'll notice, $34, $17, $16, $26, $37. All these prices are nice and rounded and even, with the exception of the really cheap stuff, that's kind of just rounded to the nearest 25 or 50 cents. This is because it is much more efficient when people are checking out to deal with these rounded prices. Not only does this help if you have a cashier worker, this also helps you. It's less clicks, you have to give less change. That means things move faster and you have more time to deal with more customers. Now, another thing, it can be tempting when you get a rare and valuable card to just jack up that price a ton. Be like, yeah, it's definitely worth $250 because who else is going to have one of these beautiful full art cards? Here's the problem. There's a chance that someone's going to look at this and go, it's too expensive. Then they're going to exit your shop. You lost money there because they didn't buy anything at all. So in general, I've found 10% plus round, basically guaranteed to sell. 20% plus round actually works a fair amount of the time, but you have to be careful that it doesn't go too high, especially on low price items. And on high value single cards like this, I've gone as high as 30% in round, and it's gone okay. It will occasionally make someone mad, but 9 times out of 10, it sells without making anyone upset. They do sell as high as 40%, but at that point, people start to get mad a noticeable amount of the time. Which, on a note, maybe you just pulled an expensive card, day one, you open your first pack, $100 card, and you put it up, and it doesn't sell on day one. It doesn't sell on day two, and it doesn't sell on day three. Do you lower the price? I mean, pricing it closer to market value will definitely encourage it to sell, but you don't have to lower the price just because it doesn't sell. I found that over time, the customers that come into your shop are more affluent. They are more likely to spend larger amounts of money. So if you pull a $100 or even $1,000 card, on day like 1 or 2, it's probably not going to sell till around day 7, or in the case of a $1,000 card, I don't know, maybe day 14, 15-ish. Don't panic. You don't need to drop the price to 10% of market just to get a sale. Leave it for sale, let it cook. Again, as long as people aren't saying this is too expensive, getting mad and leaving, you're totally fine. Next up, these beautiful things. These, if you look into my DIY, are the Auto Scent M100s. And you need 2 of them around the entrance, kind of like this, or when you get the second shop, kind of like this. This is because when a stinky customer comes in, it takes 2 sprays. So 2 units does it instantaneously. That way, everyone walks into your shop smelling clean and wonderful. Like, watch. This guy, he stinks. So does that guy. We're going to have one of them walk in. It might not actually fully work here if they both go through the same door. Oh, perfect. See, he's nice and perfumed. So is he. For a couple more tips. In general, I found that as soon as you can, start buying the bigger versions of things. So, small warehouse shelf, $500. Big warehouse shelf, $1,000. This is much more efficient. The double-sided shelf is much more efficient. So as soon as you can afford those, buy them. On the other hand, the AutoScent G500, not actually that much better than the G100, so I kept the basic model because the 500 takes up more room. Then there's employees. Employees do tasks for you automatically. Right now, I have this guy here, he's stocking the shelves. This guy here checking people out. And I have one other employee who's supposed to be stocking shelves, but I'm not quite sure where he is. Oh, found it. Right here. Employees cost you a certain amount to hire and a certain amount daily. So you do need a stable income and a good selection of products before you can start hiring employees. They're extremely helpful and make your shop much, much more efficient. Look, I don't have anything better to do. I can just open card packs. All right, things are getting a little bit backed up here. That's not great. I might need a second cashier soon. But most of the time, Alright, I probably shouldn't spend that money. Most of the time, I can just sit here cracking packs and putting the high value cards up for sale, which lets you get a lot more money in a day, because instead of spending all that time that you'd normally spend in the after hours opening all those packs, now you can do it during business hours. Just don't forget to reorder stock, because that stuff does deplete over time. And remember, the amount of EXP you get is based far more off of the number of items sold rather than their prices. So if the option is sell a couple of a thing for very high prices or sell a lot of a thing for a much lower price, you should always opt for the a lot of a thing for a much lower price, provided it's still going to be profitable. Selling one pygmy earlier, I got 9 EXP, and now 30 from that sale, even though it was only about twice as much money. Now, one thing that's important to remember about pricing, it isn't one and done. This means you want to audit the prices in your shop once every couple days, because prices shift every day, up a little bit, down a little bit, sometimes they even stay the same. You can use the app on your phone that tracks all the TCG card prices if you want to check this for yourself. But checking everything individually and adjusting accordingly is a lot harder than just looking at what the market price is, seeing if it looks reasonable compared to what you already have the item for, and then adjusting it if it's no longer in sync. Prices are especially volatile with single cards, so if you have a really high value single, definitely check it while it's sitting on the shelves for a few days. But really, you should go over everything in your shop about twice a week. Think of it this way. You're about to pay your bills, better check if you've done a shop audit recently. Then the last thing is expansion. I've purchased quite a few expansions so far. In fact, I could even purchase one more if I wanted. As you purchase these, your rent goes up. As you can see, my rent is quite high indeed, as are the employee fees. That's totally fine, because the shop is generating like $7,000 a day, and I'd say about half of that's profit. So $3,500 is going to all my total daily expenses between restocking things, paying my employees, and of course, keeping up with the rent. Then the other $3,500 I use to buy more licenses, expand the store, all that fun stuff. And with that, you should have everything you need to know to become a Card Shark mogul, or at the very least, enjoy cracking some packs. The game does a pretty good job of guiding you at the start, though I was surprised to find that you could fit 6 things on the starting shelf rather than 4. The top doesn't look like you'd place stuff on it. It kind of just looks like an overhang, but no, you can absolutely place stuff on it. But for now, good luck, may your customers not smell too terrible, and may you make lots of money. And again, if you enjoyed, if you found this helpful, do be sure to get subscribed, leave a like while you're down there, let me know whatever questions you have about TCG Card Shop Simulator, and then maybe share this video with a friend when they pick up the game as well. For now, I've got to get back to playing, because I had an idea for a pretty fun run, and if it works out, you might see a video about it soon. But it's also a little out there, pretty weird, so it might not actually work out. That's it. Thank you very much to everyone who watched to the end. I'm glad you enjoyed. If you want to do something to support the channel, then there's a link to my Patreon down below, where for as low as $1 a month, you can help make stuff like this possible. Or you can head over to my Nexus, where you can buy games. You get a game on Steam, same as anywhere else. Usually it's about the same price as well. The developer gets a little more money than they usually would, and I get a little cut as well. Both of those will be linked down below. But that's about it for me today. So, thanks again for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.